Apple bottom jeans. With the fur, with the fur. The whole club was looking at her. Where's my... There's that. I can't see anything.
Oh, it's too cold in here.
I don't understand how people see things in these. I hate fur coats.
Ugh.
Are you ready for this? I'm on my chair again. It's cold out right now in May.
Yep. The sun is not shining.
Sun is not shining.
Clearly.
And Lila is cold, which is a rare occasion because Lila likes wintertime.
Maddie doesn't like wintertime, but
Maddie has an electric hand warmer, and Lila thinks it's ridiculous.
Maddie has 2 electric hand warmers. I does not think it's ridiculous. They have settings too. You like click them. They're like that big and they look like little battery packs. They fit perfectly.
Lila thinks Maddie is a massive wimp. And she should just get over it.
You know what? I'm gonna go with no.
Well, Lila's
but
normally
unlike
right.
this conversation, the U.S. and Russia never had any direct fighting when they were going through the Cold War.
Nope. Only ever proxy wars.
Like,
but like, what was the Cold War? Why did the Cold War start?
Because they were cold?
I'm cold. No. It started because communism and capitalism aren't very close friends. And the U.S. is one of the biggest,
democracy, capitalism.
Let's go democracy!
America!
Woo! Capitalism. Insert the bald eagle screech here that's actually a hawk.
1, 2, 3.
Can
we get a woo woo from behind the camera?
Yay! I swear she said it. I can't see anything in this.
Okay.
How do people use these?
Vietnam, Korea, and Nicaragua.
Those are the big proxy wars that I know anything about.
Yep.
So Korea ended up in a split, which honestly, in my personal view, is an American win, as the goal wasn't to eradicate communism from North Korea. It was to keep North Korea from placing communism onto South Korea. The even split is still around today, and so is the communism in North Korea. Nobody really knows what goes on there.
It's very hostile at the border.
Very hostile. People escape all the time, but they're typically killed on their attempts. People aren't allowed to badmouth the leader. Very much not good. South Korea. I don't know much about South Korea because there's nothing really for me to know about them. They're democratic. They have K-pop. And I feel like people are allowed to leave.
Yes.
People are allowed to leave. People are allowed to come back.
Vietnam was a little different.
Vietnam was a little bit different.
Communism and capitalism / democracy all went in there. The people of Vietnam were like, we want capitalism. And the U.S. went, no, you don't. And they went, yes, we do.
No, the people of Vietnam said we want communism.
Oh, communism. Was I saying something different?
You said capitalism.
Rewind.
Back it up.
Yep.
The people of Vietnam were very mixed in their opinions of who wants communism and who wants capitalism.
They wanted communism a lot.
They wanted communism a lot.
Ho Chi Minh.
Ho Chi Minh.
Ho Chi Minh.
Ho Chi Minh.
That's the one name I could remember for that SAQ in class, not the one on the test, the official test. We had one in class.
Because I know a lot about Ho Chi Minh. I won't talk about a lot about Ho Chi Minh, but I could.
Yeah, Vietnam was a major loss for the U.S.
And it was kind of after the Vietnam War was kind of the U.S. kind of pulling out of interacting with other countries, kind of the start of more isolationist policies. Moving back over to the Americas, in Nicaragua, it was communist, and there were groups trying to rise up against it, and the U.S. supported those groups trying to rise up against communism. And they won. It's a democracy now, and I've never been to democracy and capitalist now, but I've never been to Nicaragua, but my grandpa has a few times. So
yeah, in places like Nicaragua, communists and capitalists would back different rival groups, take over the military. They didn't actually care about the group. They just cared that they were beating the other one.
Yeah. namely Russia and the U.S. The Cold War itself was between Russia and the U.S. of A.
US of A, yes.
The U.S. of A.
Yes.
Um,
Oh, my first calling.
we had a small moment of lots of confusion because
Confusion.
from earlier.
Oh.
Yeah.
Woo.
So this all started kind of because of Russia pulled away from what was the Triple Entente from World War One, and that group of people fighting against Germany and Japan, and the Nazis and stuff, and kind of backed themselves more into a corner of communism. And eventually, after the war was over and Germany was split, they were split because Russia wanted Germany to be communist. Instead of a democracy or instead of capitalist, which every other empire and nation, they were empire nation wanted, which is a split between East and West Germany.
Yeah. At the end of the war, the nations near Russia, it was decided that they would be able to have free elections and stuff like that. And Russia was like, yeah, we're cool with that. And then when the war actually ended, they're like, actually, we're not cool with that. I'm your dictator now. And kind of not a great move there.
Yeah. America didn't like that very much. But back to East and West Germany, East Germany became the communist and West Germany was the capitalist. West Germany, really both East and West, but mostly West Germany, received lots of support, specifically from America, monetarily and with soldiers and other people to just help rebuild the nation back from Hitler and every effect he had had. In East Germany, Russia supported them, and Russia brought back all of the money and stuff, but nobody really knew what was going on. There was severe border control between East and West Germany, known as the Berlin Wall. People escaped from East Germany. I watched a movie about it the other day called Balloon. I mean, I watched it in German, but I believe you can find it in English. It's about a family who escaped East Germany in a hot air balloon because they were so unhappy. And it was cultish. It reminds me, it's a lot of North Korea today, if you want to relate back to something you probably know a little bit more about.
There were two main races during the Cold War. There was no fighting, but there were races. There was the space race and the arms race.
Yeah. The space race was the first to get to space and then first to get to the moon. Russia won first to get to space with, what was his name?
Yuri Gagarin?
Yeah, something like that. The U.S. got to the moon first with the moon landing, and I don't remember what his name was. Neil Armstrong.
Yeah, it was a constant. This was the battle basically between them. It was just a race who would get there first. If you've ever seen Hidden Figures,
yes, great movie. Go watch Hidden Figures
for that. It's very good. Go watch that movie.
Yes.
And the arms race was nuke building.
Nuke building. Who could have more nukes? And it was pretty much just a threat of, oh, I have more nukes than you, so if we really got into a war, I would win.
But nobody actually knew how many nukes they had, so it was more like Hydra Snake. It was like, I have some nukes. Do you have nukes?
Yeah, I've got a lot of nukes.
Well, now I've got more nukes. Do you have more nukes?
Yeah, I've got more nukes than you do, for sure.
Right now, I have more nukes.
No, I have more nukes.
I don't know how many nukes she has, but I've got a lot of nukes, so she probably has a lot of nukes.
Yep.
So that's basically the arms race.
And then the U.S. was like, I'm going to go and I'm going to put my nukes in, Cuba. Cuba was communist.
Turkey.
And Cuba liked Russia at the time. So that was a bad idea. And then they moved all their nukes out of Cuba. But at the end of the war, they agreed they'd put all their nukes in Turkey because Turkey was a neutral party at the time, and I believe still is a semi-neutral party. But one other thing to come out of the Cold War, specifically in America, was McCarthyism. I don't know if any of you have ever read The Crucible, but it was mandatory at my school. The Crucible is based off of what happened with McCarthyism, as the senator was
Joseph McCarthy, I think.
I think his first name was Joseph, but McCarthy is what's important. Senator McCarthy claimed he had a list of people who were communists and supported communism and were spies for Russia. He lied. None of them were real. None of them were actually communists. I'm sure some of them were, just because it was just a list of people he didn't like and the list of people who didn't like him.
And then near the end, it was just blank pieces of paper. He was just completely bluffing near the end.
Yeah.
It fueled the Red Scare in America.
Yeah. which is the
just
scare
fear
of
that
communism.
your neighbor was communist or your friends were communist and you didn't know.
Yeah.
Because it was a very patriotic time. Nationalism grew because of fear.
Yes.
Fun.
Um.
The war ended pretty anticlimactically.
Yeah. Nothing
No
really
nukes.
happened. They said they gave up all their bombs, but I don't really think they did.
I don't think we did.
I don't think we did. I don't think Russia
We
did.
definitely got rid of a good portion.
I feel like we each got rid of quite a bit of them, but we definitely at least have one.
Yeah. And
At
this was a conflict that took over most of the world. You were either communist or you were capitalist, and you were aligned with Russia or you were aligned with the US, and it was
Or some places were socialist, but they weren't really like well received by everybody else.
The only people who were kind of completely out of it was the non-aligned movement,
which consisted of countries like Egypt, Ghana, Yugoslavia, Indonesia, and India.
These were mainly nations that had finally been freed from imperialism. They were getting back on their feet, and they're like, we don't want another war. We don't want to be involved in proxy wars.
I don't have time for this.
Exactly.
So, I have other more important things going on that actually affect my country.
Mm-hmm. So they were called the non-aligned movement, and just like it says, they did not align with Russia or the U.S., communism or democracy.
All right, that's it.
Yep.
Later.